continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Warner Anderson as Matthew Swain, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, and Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson.
Rita Jacks, trying to apologize to Norman Harrington, retraces in her mind the stormy path of their romance. Joe Chernak, anxious to cause trouble for them because he was turned down by Rita, considers his next destructive move. Neither Norman nor Rita at this moment have any idea of the far-reaching complications that Joe's anger will bring. Complications that are sure to involve all of Peyton Place.
What are you doing here?
Are you okay, Norman?
Yeah. What are you up to?
I came to find you. I want to tell you how sorry I was for being such a brat for so long. From now on, I'm going to be different. You'll see, if you'll give me a chance. Furthermore, I just can't stand breaking up with you. There. Well, say something.
Wow. Look, are you,
No more secrets, Norm. I promise.
You look great. You really do. In fact, you look so good, I might even take you out to dinner tonight. Be the last of the big-time Peyton Place sprinters. That is, if you don't mind a little blood and gore with your lobster.
Guy, what have you been doing?
Well, Rod's not the only one that can get a job around here. Do you know that I'm making one cotton-picking $1 an hour? Only I'm not picking cotton. I'm scraping barnacles off Don Newman's boat. Well, quit giggling. You're supposed to feel sorry for me. Do you know how much money I made today? 7 United States dollars. And I'm on the verge of, Rita, you sure you really want to go with me? I mean, not just for a couple of seconds, but for the summer, maybe? Good. Then I'll just blow the whole wad on dinner tonight. Yeah, gotta quit giggling, though. All right?
Evening, Matt.
Eli? Drag up a chair and sit down. Be with you in a minute.
Take your time. Take your time. Always refreshing to stand around and watch somebody else do the work. What are you doing there? The question is, does Peyton Place want to retain the marshland untouched as a bird sanctuary or drain it in the sometimes dubious cause of progress? We pause for reply. Bird sanctuary and feeding your readers this kind of stuff. Is that the business you got here?
Well, not entirely. See, tomorrow I'm going to feed them some raw meat.
What's this? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is this? Signed, Elliot Carson. Did Elliot write this?
He did.
And you're going to print it tomorrow?
I am.
Have the two of you lost your minds? Listen to this. If the town is to survive Mr. Shuster's reign of power, Mr. Shuster must be pried loose.
Eli! I've already committed that whole thing to memory without your help.
Where does Elliot get off telling Shuster how to run the mill?
Well, he's unhappy about the layoffs. He says the mill is people, and I can't say that he's wrong.
What's the matter with the boy? Must he always look for trouble? Hasn't he had enough grief for a lifetime?
Well, I can answer your questions in order. I think the world needs a little more of what's wrong with Elliot, and he's no longer a boy.
Did you put him up to this?
You should know by now that Elliot needs no prodding when it comes to an injustice.
It's the chandlery. There just ain't enough there to keep him satisfied.
Well, we do agree on one thing. Maybe the job I've offered him will change all that.
Job? What job?
Running this newspaper.
Running. Well, Matt, you're giving the boy a chance to make something of himself. And don't think I'm not grateful.
But
But if this letter is an example, then you and Elliot can get in a peck of trouble.
there is a risk involved, but I think it's well worth taking.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to poke my nose into Elliot's affairs here and now behind his back. If he takes this job, he's going to get hurt. Maybe hurt others.
Doesn't sound like a Carson.
I'm an old Carson. This letter is Elliot. When he sees something wrong, he does something about it, and does something fast. Now, that might be all right for a storybook hero, but that's not his position in this town.
He was convicted unjustly.
And he won't let people forget it. I'm not saying he's going to write about himself, but if you turn the Clarion over to him, you might as well change the name to the Underdog.
Well, that's one of the functions of a newspaper, to hold with unpopular causes.
You trying to give me one of those social consciences at my age?
I don't need to. If Elliot were not your son, you'd be delighted to see him in this job. Now, look at it this way. He may get hurt. He may step on some toes too many. But if he accomplishes something, it is good for the town and better for him. See, Eli, ever since he got out of prison, he's been trying to find something, look for something. Whether it's respect, peace, real freedom.
And you think he'll find it sitting behind that desk?
I'd certainly like to see him try.
Mr. Benton's in the recovery room. If there's any change, let me know immediately. I'll be in the lab.
Yes, Dr. Clare. I have those x-rays on the Clayton boy.
Oh, thank you.
Evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
Claire.
Hello, Michael.
Haven't seen much of you lately.
Well, I'm trying to make up for lost time. I'm going to practice with my father. Full time, as of today.
Any messages for me?
Just these. Oh, and the lab called about those tests on Mrs. Miller. They're ready for you.
Oh, fine. Tell them I'll get right back to
Yes,
them.
Doctor.
Put this up for me, will you?
Aren't you going to congratulate me? I've made a big decision, Michael.
Well, congratulations. I hope you're happy with it.
But you sound disappointed.
Frankly, I am.
Well, on what grounds? I thought you'd be proud of me. After all, I'm a doctor and a good one. It's not enough just to be a doctor. You have to work at it. You've reminded me of that time and time again.
Why don't you work at being a woman?
That was uncalled for, Michael.
Was it? Vincent isn't the kind of a man to be hit by a divorce when he's fighting for his life.
He's not fighting for it. He's throwing it away.
And you're just going to stand around and let him.
He doesn't give me any other choice.
He needs you, Claire. He needs you desperately.
He doesn't need anybody.
Don't you understand? You made him aware for the first time of failure. Just at a time when he was becoming aware of his own mortality. He's much more vulnerable than you think. I saw his face when he first read your divorce papers.
I went to him. I would have torn them up. All I wanted him to do was ask me.
He's not the kind of a man to beg for mercy from you or from me or even from his brother. I think he'd die first. Don't you see that?
I don't want to worship anymore. My knees are sore from kneeling at shrines. Vincent will have to come off his pedestal just once to get me back.
You want him to grovel in the dirt like everyone else, huh? Come on, Claire, you're being petty.
I'm being a woman. You said I had to work at it.
All right, then call off the divorce. Are you so determined to punish him?
You're only a man, Mike. You don't see. It's much kinder for me to punish him than for him to think I pity him.
Okay, and have Ferguson send out those wires. Come in. Oh, doctor, come in. Yes. And don't forget now, have Ferguson make up a list also of the needy and worthwhile medical missions. That's right. No, Fletcher, my brother, turned me down. That's right. All right, we'll get the rest of the work done in the morning before we leave. Good night. Well, doctor, some cognac? You look like you need it.
No, you go right ahead.
Thank you, doctor.
Well, I imagine that you've talked with my dedicated, unselfish brother, and he's told you how he so proudly turned me down. Perhaps that's why you're here. You've cooked up a medical mission all of your own, and you're looking to use the money yourself.
No, I don't want the money.
Wouldn't it be funny if I couldn't get rid of my money?
You knew all the time that your brother wouldn't accept the money, regardless of how desperately he needed it from a foundation that bears your name.
Well, this a professional visit, Doctor? You're going to charge me for it?
You must have known all the time that that would make him turn it down.
You seem to have the problem, Doctor. Perhaps I should charge you.
Are you not in the mood for the truth, Mr. Markham?
The truth? Now, exactly what has this got to do with you?
Very simply, I respect your brother, I admire his work, and I think it's very important.
I see you're here in behalf of medical progress, then.
But old Vincent is always able to attract a large number of sympathizers.
Why did you have to attach the one string that would guarantee your brother's refusal?
Well, what would you and Vincent have me do? Come by once a year and slip $110,000 under the door and then vanish into the night?
No, I didn't mean that.
You know, I don't think I should apologize or become anonymous when I give away my own money. Not ashamed of being wealthy. Not afraid to earn it, to touch it, to make it work for me. And pay for something with it if necessary. You tell me, Doctor, now, as a professional man, what do you do about money? You do expect money in return for your professional services, don't you?
I happen to like my work.
I'm afraid we don't talk the same language, Doctor.
I think we do.
No, we don't. And furthermore, since my brother Vincent is going back to Peru and I am returning to the miserable mercenary business life, I don't see what we have left to discuss. Doctor, it was good of you to come.
Mr. Markham, give in to Vincent. Give him the money. You can afford it.
Give in to Vincent. How often I've heard that. You know, there's a story they tell about Vincent. When we were first born, we were both shoved into incubators. We were kept separate for a number of months. And then one day, there came the time when we were brought together in the same crib, and they say that from the moment Vincent saw me, he stopped smiling, and he's been pouting ever since. Give in to Vincent. You have more friends than Vincent. You are stronger than Vincent. Poor Vincent.
Even if you could prove that Vincent was a lesser man, even if you could prove that to yourself, that wouldn't make you happy. The Kenneth Markham Foundation is a monument to what? Kenneth Markham, the financier? Kenneth Markham, the philanthropist? Or Kenneth Markham, the good brother?
I've made an offer to Vincent. Now, if his ego prevents him from accepting it, that's his problem. And anyway, the Merriman Foundation is going to finance him as far as I know.
No, they're not. If he told you that, he was lying. The only chance he has is to get the money from you. If he doesn't get the money from you, it'll destroy him. And that'll be your problem for the rest of your days.